Hey, Britt here from In the Light Studios. I'm going to be walking you through how to update and create pop-ups for your website. So first things first, you'll log in to the back end of your website, and this is generally a screen that you'll see. Yours might look a little bit different, but the first thing that you're going to look for is Convert Pro here on the side. And that's what you'll be building your pop-ups with. So go ahead and click that. And you're going to want to make sure that, well, if you don't see this, first of all, let us know. We'll make sure it's installed so you can use that. But then the second thing you'll want to check is to make sure that the license key is activated. So this one is active. If it's not active, you'll see a field to enter it. And again, just ask us if you don't see that. Otherwise, it will you won't be able to use the plugin and functions appropriately. So we want to make sure that's set up and ready to go. We should have it ready, but just in case. But other than that, if you just click on Convert Pro, it'll bring you to this dashboard. If you're in settings, you can go to this tab here. Otherwise, there's ways to access it here as well. But if you've created ones, they'll show up here, and you can see the past ones you've created and edit them or adjust them, turn them on and off. But if you are brand new, like this one, you can go ahead and click Create New or Create One, and this will allow you to select what kind of pop-up that you want to create. So there's different types of pop-ups, and they can be used for different purposes. You could do a full screen pop-up where it takes up the whole screen. And then there's like different things that you can look into. The most common ones probably are either like a modal pop-up or a slide-in. So this is just like your typical pop-up. So when it's after a certain amount of time on the page, it'll pop up on the screen and people can either choose to interact with it or close it. A slide-in is similar, but it'll just slide in on the side of your screen or wherever you determine where to put that. So I'll show you how to create a modal pop-up. You can play with the other ones, and it's pretty straightforward. You just kind of follow the prompts and click through the different tabs. But so we clicked modal pop-up, and you can start with a template. They have all of these different templates. It can be helpful to have a jumping off point. So you can click one of these, you can change the fonts, the fields, the buttons, you can adjust all of that, but it would just give you a place to start. And if you are not seeing something that you like or you want to do something totally different, you can start with a blank one. I'll do that just for the purpose of showing you. So you just name your pop-up. And it will load. And so this is the editor window. And there's different things here that you can add to, you can adjust. So you got these different text options, HTML if you're familiar with that, image, video. You'll definitely want a close button or close text. There's countdown, so that's under elements. There's different tabs here you can click through. Forms, so this is if you want people to fill out their email, just kind of like a lead generation thing. So you can add forms. different form fields here. And then this is like the just different styling and stuff of those fields. You can click through those and adjust as needed. These are buttons. So say you add a button, you're going to click and drag when you want to add something. And for buttons, there's the styling and everything, what you want to say, font, size, colors, all that. But for buttons, you have to make sure that you have the action that you want it to take selected. So if it's submitting a form, submit is fine. If you want to take them to another page, say like submit and go to URL would be probably the best option, or go to URL. So there's different options there. If you click that, it will give you the option to add in the page URL that you want it to take them to. Advanced, these are just some different additional options that you can play with. But yeah, just make sure that the intent is selected for what you want the action to be. So then you can also add shapes. These are just different elements and pieces that you can add. So for like the Facebook icons, let's see. You could send them to Facebook with that icon if you wanted to. So those are just different elements and pieces that you can add. So the panel is the full card here that you see, the full pop-up. So that's what you're adjusting with this tab here. You can adjust the size, the background color. The overlay is this area around it. So everything, once it's popped up, it'll kind of gray out the background of the rest of the page. So that way the pop-up is in focus. So you can go through that, adjust that if you want to. Animation, I wouldn't do anything too crazy here. Fade in is simple enough, but you can adjust that. It can be annoying if it's too obnoxious, so I would be careful with that. But border, so if you want a border on there, shadow, credit, so like all these different things you can adjust and add to. But after you're done with design, you'll go to configure, and so this will tell you how much, like it'll set the parameters for when you want it to show up, and just some of those just different actions. So you can have it show up. Currently, at this default is to be set to show up after a few seconds on the page, and so you can adjust how much time. You can also set it up so if someone's about to click off the page, it'll pop up then. You just turn that on and you'll have some parameters you can probably set with that. After scroll, so this is like how far down the page, if you wanted to pop up that way. If someone is just frozen on the screen for, looks like 60 seconds here. And you can go through and adjust all of those things. But typically, I guess, after a few seconds on the page is probably fine to stick with if you're not sure. That's a fine way to do it. So target, so you can choose where this shows up. So it is set to the entire website by default. Otherwise, you can choose singular pages or on a specific post. Yeah. So if you want it to show up on just the home page, you can click on front page, and that'll be the home page. But if you want it on just a specific page, it's not the home page, you'll click target specifics, and then you can search for the page. So for example, if you want this to show up on the staff and faculty page for some reason, you start typing and it'll pop up the page that you're looking for. So you can have a pop up on the contact page, and so you just select the page once it pulls it up. Geolocation, you can adjust those things. Some of these things aren't as critical. So you can choose to not show it on someone's phone or tablet if you don't want to, or desktop even. You can adjust that. And so this is the cookie section, is to show and adjust after they've seen it or after they've closed it or submitted. When do you want them to see it again, if ever? And so it's automatically set to hide the call to action after someone closes it or submits through the button or whatever form, if you have a form on it. And you can adjust that increment of time if you want them to be able to see it again. And so those are the three there. The last tab here is Connect. And if you have a email list or something that you're trying to, a platform that you are gathering people's contact information, emails, say from a lead generation standpoint through these pop-ups. So if someone fills out their name and their email and you are connected to ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or one of those mailing platforms, there's ways to connect this to that. So if you have more questions on that, let us know. We can help you get that connected. But the other section here is email. And so when someone submits the form, you can get notified about that. And so just make sure that you have the email that you wish to receive that notification entered there, and you will be all set with that. And then I guess one more thing, going back here to design, is this is the way that it'll appear on a computer, a desktop, a laptop. But there's also the opportunity to see what this looks like on mobile and adjust mobile. So if you go to here, let me pull up one that's more finished. Okay, so here's one that's more finished. The school wanted to showcase their play that was coming up, so we created a pop-up for that. and they were able to buy tickets. So anyways, this is the desktop version, but then if you want to adjust or see the mobile version, which I highly suggest because it'll do its best to kind of pull things together and make it friendly for mobile, but it doesn't, it needs to be adjusted. So select that icon and you'll see some of the same adjustments and abilities to do things. All of your elements will be present there. They will likely be weird sized or off the screen, and so you'll want to make sure to condense all of that, and I can show you that here. So say we have a heading. So for soccer game, you're gonna have to adjust this so it shows, because it's going to be outside of the window. You can just click and drag those things. Okay, so let's increase this font size. And just go ahead here or type it in. It's too big. So I'm just, you can play with the look and feel and the design and stuff. But so we're just gonna go with that for now. But if you go to, so you have your heading here, your button, but if you go to mobile, you'll see it does its best to condense it and shrink it. Sometimes it's off the edge, and even like this button and stuff, it looks small, right? So you want to do some adjusting with that. So you can change the size and everything and positioning, and that won't be affected on the desktop. There are some things that will be affected. So if you delete an item off of desktop, it will delete it off of mobile. You can choose to hide things in mobile if there's too many elements, and it just won't work for that small of a screen size. So you can, once something is selected, you can hide it. And then you won't have to see that in the mobile version. And if you want something back, or you're not sure how to reset, I guess, you can go ahead and regenerate mobile view. This will take you back to kind of the beginning. So if you want this to go back onto the mobile, you'll have to go back into desktop because it's hidden from mobile. So go back into desktop and click show on mobile, and it should show on mobile. And you're going to want to make sure to have a button to close the pop-up as well. But so once you have your button, and your pop-up and everything is good to go, you can save along the way, but then to make it show up on your site, you're going to click make public, and it'll publish it right there. And so then you'll have to go and test it out and make sure that it's working. So it's set to show up 1 second or after a little bit of time on the page. So that's when you should see it. And if you don't, you want to make sure that you are set up where it is showing on the right page that you're hoping it was. Make sure that it is on the entire site or set for the page. Sometimes you need to refresh. And depending on what you set up as the action that it takes after someone closes the window, you might not see it again. So like if you set it to don't show it to users X amount of days after they close it, you're not going to be able to see it again to test it. So keep that in mind. But it looks like it's showing right. So and people can click off or click the X and it will be gone. So that's how you create a pop-up. If you want to turn it off after you're done with the campaign or the event, you just go back into Convert Pro and you just go under the status here and you flip the switch to off and it will no longer show it on the site. But yeah, if you have any questions, just let us know. But those are some of the basics to help get you started.